has supported. Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting guy, man, because he's so friendly.
Right.
You know, like Pat, even like when people are trash talking, he's like smiling, and then he gets in that ring.
Kick your ass later.
Different dude. Right. Yeah.
You know, and
seeing him beat Keith Thurman at 40 years old, like, God, this guy's great. I mean, just look at his career with 8 different weight classes, world titles in 8 different weight classes. 40 years old, beats Keith Thurman, who's in his prime.
Right.
Crazy. I mean, what a man. And Manny was the first. I mean, Manny went up 8 weight classes.
Yeah.
And kept his knockout power.
He's fighting as a little boy and then just was like
crazy.
Nobody saw it coming. Not now. Not like this. Boxing fans woke up to headlines that sounded like fiction. Manny Pacquiao, at 46 years old, was stepping back into the ring. Not for an exhibition, not for charity, but for a real sanctioned world title fight against Mario Barrios, young, sharp, active, the WBC welterweight champion. And then came Joe Rogan, the voice of combat sports skepticism and awe. His take wasn't polite, it wasn't sugar-coated, but it wasn't dismissive either.
Like as if Manny Pacquiao in the middle of his prime said, I'm going to fight MMA. That would be insane. And you'd probably get his face kicked off, probably get strangled, probably get taken down, strangled, and he would be helpless. It's a different skill set. There's so much more to MMA.
In a sport where most legends fade into silence, Pacquiao returned like a thunderclap. For some, it's insanity. For others, destiny. The fans aren't just watching for a fight, they're watching a resurrection or a reckoning. Will the legend rise again or get crushed by the future? This isn't just another bout. It's a question whispered across gyms, podcasts, and press rooms. Can Manny Pacquiao still win? Or will this be the night the dream finally dies? Manny Pacquiao's legacy doesn't need this fight.
Why is he? I get he still loves the sport, but listen, you are an all-time great, a legend of the sport, a Hall of Famer. Why return? Why not just go pursue other things? If anything, do those little cheap expedition fights that you did last year, or those that are similar to that of what Floyd Mayweather keeps doing.
8 division titles, 70 career bouts, a seat in the Hall of Fame already locked. And yet, just weeks before his official induction into boxing immortality, he laces up the gloves again. Some say it's ego, others whisper desperation. But those who know Pacquiao, they say it's unfinished business. This isn't a farewell tour, it's a final war. At 46, he's not just fighting Mario Barrios. He's fighting time, gravity, and every critic who said he should have stayed in the past. And across the ring stands a man who doesn't fear legends. Mario Barrios, 28, fresh off a dominant win streak, just crowned WBC welterweight champ after Terrence Crawford vacated. He didn't ask for this matchup, but when the name Pacquiao came up, he didn't hesitate. Because for Barrios, this isn't just a title defense, it's a shortcut to the history books. Beat Pacquiao, and you don't just keep the belt. July 19th isn't just a fight, it's a moment frozen in time. Boxing fans aren't just filling seats, they're crossing oceans. Filipino flags flood the Las Vegas Strip. Old posters from the De La Hoya and Hatton days are being dusted off. Mothers are bringing sons to witness something they once watched with their fathers. It's not a fight, it's a pilgrimage. And Pacquiao? He's not just returning, he's bringing his bloodline with him. Manny Pacquiao Jr., only 23, will make his professional debut on the same card as his father's final battle. It's more than symbolic, it's generational. One legend stepping out as another steps in. Pacquiao Jr., guided by Freddie Roach and Marvin Somodio, enters the pro ranks with a modest amateur record. But no one's watching for stats. They're watching to see if the fire passed down from father to son still burns hot. Some say it's too soon, others say he was born for this. And while the Pacquiaos dominate headlines, the undercard delivers heat of its own. Sebastian Fundora versus Tim Tissue 2 promises chaos, a rematch laced with unfinished business. Their last bout left both men bloodied and fans divided. Now, with the cameras rolling again, they return to settle a score that still echoes through highlight reels. And then there's Isaac Pitbull Cruz, the relentless Mexican mauler rumored to face Angel Fierro. Cruz doesn't dance, he charges. And in a sport starving for aggression, he's become the crowd's personal adrenaline shot.
Y resistencia a Félix, el de rojo, y otra vez el gancho. Tiene que estar llaveando y también aprovechando que es... ¡Opa! ¡Vámonos a la lona con la derecha, la zona de las costillas, la izquierda!
So he's got to be careful. He's letting that head forward and Noah's timing him with that.
From top to bottom, July 19th is built like a farewell concert, with an opening act from the future. A father, a son, a last shot at glory. It's boxing's most emotional card in years, and every name on it is fighting for more than a win. They're fighting for a place in the echo of something unforgettable. You don't get to be Manny Pacquiao without breaking biology. Most fighters in their mid-40s limp through training. Pacquiao? He explodes off the line, shadow boxes with a tempo that rivals fighters half his age, and still hits pads like a hummingbird with C4 in its fists. But there's a secret weapon Rogan has pointed out for years, General Santos.
What's crazy about him is his calves.
Yeah.
When you look at
massive.
that, they're giant. They're like a thigh.
And I know the reason why, because in General Santos, the mountains that he runs and that steep hill, that's why they're so big. Because he's always constantly running mountains. And I was doing the mountain runs with him.
Yeah.
Even now, in his 40s, Pacquiao's footwork tells a different story from his age. His recent training footage went viral, not because he looked young, but because he looked dangerous. The bounce was still there, the speed, the burst off the line. But let's not lie to ourselves. Sparring mitts aren't fight night punches. And behind every explosive combo is a question the fans don't want to ask. Can those calves still carry the weight of war? Mario Barrios isn't flashy. He doesn't talk trash. He doesn't need to. His style is precise, controlled, lethal in the way that creeps up on you. You blink, and you're behind on points. You swing, and he pivots out, makes you miss, makes you think. He's not a knockout artist. He's a technician with power, and lately, that combination has been working. At 28 years old, Barrios is in that sweet spot. Not too green, not too weathered, sharp enough to take risks, calm enough to know when not to. Against Ugas, Pacquiao looked hesitant, rusty, a step slow. Barrios? He doesn't bring hesitation. He brings volume, pressure, and youth, the kind of youth that doesn't second-guess itself in round 10. And while the cameras stay on Pacquiao, Barrios has been quietly preparing for the biggest moment of his life, and he's treating it like business.
Going out there to Atlanta, and fighting Tank there, everything, that played into that fight, it was, it did bring a lot of attention, and I think it was the perfect fight fit for that fight.
He doesn't want to just win, he wants to earn it by beating the legend clean. No controversy, no split decision. Because if Barrios walks out victorious, he's not just the guy who beat Manny, he's the guy who ended the myth. By the time the gloves are laced, most fights are already half won, not in the ring, but in the mind. And this one? It's mental warfare disguised as mutual respect. Manny Pacquiao has always been a quiet storm. No stare downs, no trash talk, no threats on Instagram, just prayer, tape wraps, and sweat. At the final press conference, Barrios looked composed, calm on the outside. But behind his words, the pressure leaked out in flickers, clipped answers, dry chuckles, slight hesitations. He's fighting a man whose name echoes louder than his own punches. That kind of energy follows you into the ring. And not always in your favor. Barrios isn't just facing Pacquiao. He's facing the weight of what beating him would mean. Pacquiao, meanwhile, walks through it all with a disarming peace. He doesn't blink. He doesn't posture. Because he's been here before, more times than Barrios has fought professionally. He reads scripture in his locker room. He smiles at media day. He pats his opponents on the back with genuine warmth right before he tries to take their heads off. That paradox is what unnerves people. He's a man of God, and also a man who made a living breaking jaws with blistering combinations. That inner stillness isn't weakness, it's danger, wrapped in grace.
In our career in boxing, not only because of our own ability, but because of your promotion of this boxing event. Thank you so much, media and press.
In the lead up to this fight, Barrios has said all the right things, but so did Keith Thurman, so did Miguel Cotto. What separates Pacquiao isn't just his punches, it's how he turns silence into a strategy. A calm so loud it drowns out everything else. Joe Rogan has followed Manny Pacquiao's career longer than most broadcasters. He's watched from the front row as Pacquiao steamrolled legends, jumped weight classes, and rewrote boxing physics. And now, with this comeback, Rogan finds himself in a strange position, torn between admiration and realism. He's said it before, Pacquiao's an anomaly, a miracle in gloves. But he's also a 46-year-old man fighting in a young man's division. That's not just risky, it's historic.
Like if Manny Pacquiao in the middle of his prime said, I'm going to fight MMA, that would be insane. And you'd probably get his face kicked off.
Rogan doesn't doubt the legend's will. What he questions, like many others, is the cost. Because while the headlines talk about Pacquiao's speed and footwork, Rogan sees something else: mileage, scar tissue, that quiet erosion no slow-motion highlight reel ever shows. Still, he admits one thing with absolute certainty: Pacquiao brings fire, even when logic says no. The crowd says yes.
He's the golden goose.
Of course he is.
Yeah,
That's something that
crazy.
you can't take away
Kind
from
of
him.
amazing. You know, that he still guarantees that many eyeballs.
And that's Rogan's dilemma. As a fight analyst, he sees the danger. As a fan, he can't help but hope for one last miracle. What happens if Manny wins? Let's be honest, no one really wants to talk about it. Because if Manny Pacquiao wins, the sport won't know what to do with itself. A 46-year-old beating a prime champion for a world title? That's not just a headline, that's a detonation. The WBC would face a storm of questions. Does he unify? Does he retire? Or does he defend against someone younger, faster, hungrier again? And what about the rankings, the belts? The fighters who've waited years for a shot, only to be leapfrogged by a living ghost?
The moment in the WBC, as you said, it's a shoe-in, it's a big money maker, it's utterly and totally wrong. I have nothing more to say about it.
The fight would be over, but the chaos would just be beginning. Because if Pacquiao wins, it doesn't just shift boxing, it shatters the rules of what's possible and forces the future to wait. As the countdown to July 19th continues, the boxing world is abuzz with anticipation. Manny Pacquiao's return to the ring at 46 has reignited discussions about age, legacy, and the indomitable spirit of champions. In the heart of Hollywood, at the renowned Wildcard Boxing Club, Pacquiao's longtime trainer, Freddie Roach, observes his protege with a mix of admiration and concern. Their bond, forged over decades, is evident in every mid-session and strategic discussion.
Who right now, though, could he fight?
We have, I haven't let him choose anyone yet, but the thing is, it's just his heart has. He said he wants one more fight, and then his wife called me up and says, "Don't let him fight, don't let him fight." And I try to be on her side and so forth. But like when a man in the sport wants to fight, you know, sometimes he's gonna fight. Yeah, I agree with you.
Former opponents and boxing analysts are also weighing in. Timothy Bradley, who faced Pacquiao thrice in the ring, acknowledges the unique challenge Pacquiao presents, even in his mid-40s. Bradley notes that while age may have slowed some fighters, Pacquiao's footwork and hand speed remain formidable.
I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was scared out of my mind.
Scared of what?
Of him. How hard does he punch? How fast is he? You know, you see it on film, but it's different when you're in there actually fighting them.
Sure.
It's completely different. They were like bullets. They literally, like Manny Pacquiao, when he would throw, everything is just all stiff, you know, sharp punches, fast, quick feet.
Beyond the boxing community, the Philippines is uniting in support of their national hero. In Manila and across the archipelago, plans are underway for communal viewing events. From barangay halls to church courtyards, large screens will broadcast the fight, turning neighborhoods into arenas of collective hope and pride. Airlines are reportedly adjusting flight schedules, and some are even offering in-flight viewing options to ensure passengers don't miss a moment of the action. Social media platforms are flooded with messages of encouragement, nostalgic highlights of Pacquiao's past victories, and discussions about the upcoming bout's implications. This fight transcends the usual narratives of title defenses and rankings. It's a testament to resilience, passion, and the unyielding pursuit of greatness. Whether Pacquiao secures victory or not, his return has already achieved something profound. It has reignited global interest in boxing and reminded fans why they fell in love with the sport in the first place. As the world watches, one thing is clear: Pacquiao's legacy is not just defined by his titles, but by his ability to inspire, unite, and defy expectations. On July 19th, the lights will dim in Las Vegas, the crowd will rise, the bell will ring, and the world will lean in. Because this isn't just a main event, this is a time capsule in motion. Manny Pacquiao, at 46, walks toward the ring not as a fighter chasing belts, but as a man chasing meaning. There will be cheers, there will be doubts. But for one night, the boxing world will hold its breath and remember what greatness once looked like in real time. Barrios, young and sharp, won't be playing the villain. He's the now. He's earned that belt. But make no mistake, the crowd isn't coming to see the title defended. They're coming to see if history can be rewritten.
Calves. I don't know, I'm just worried for him. You made the biggest point on this discussion in this segment, which is his health. Yeah, because Barrios is a killer.
The sports books favor Barrios. The scientists say no one at 46 should be doing this. But hearts don't run on data, and legacies don't die quietly. As Pacquiao steps between the ropes, he's not just stepping into another bout. He's stepping into a closing chapter, one last war written with everything he's got left. If the hands still fire, and if the crowd still believes. That final bell won't just mark the end of a round, it'll mark the final roar of an era.
Philippines, the ageless wonder, the one and only current WBA welterweight champion of the world, Manny.
Because legends don't retire, they resonate. And win or lose, on July 19th, Manny Pacquiao reminds the world why he was never just a boxer. He was a moment in time. Backstage, Pacquiao Jr. stands watching the monitors, gloves on, head bowed. His father walks the tunnel, slow, steady, alone. Ringside, a fan wipes tears. Another bows in silent prayer. In the commentary booth, broadcasters exchange glances, their voices hushed, acknowledging the gravity of the moment.
I mean, just look at his career with 8 different weight classes, world titles in 8 different weight classes. 40 years old, beats Keith Thurman.
The arena holds its breath. The lights dim, and the bell rings.